The following video is one in a series on spiritual resilience training, a non-religious view of personal values and their dynamics with others. The contents reflect a variety of principles and practices of systems theory in relational counseling for team building and family resilience. Although the series is intended to support Army Corps values, each video also encourages the viewer to reflect on their current prominent values in specific situations and to consider what values may be more appropriate to means and results that are honorable and helpful with others. Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated.
Welcome back. If you haven't seen the introduction to the 5 love languages, I would encourage you to watch that. That covers some broad themes that I think will lend some perspective to these specific gifts that the languages that we're covering today. That was a Freudian slip because today we are covering the language of gifts. And in wealthy and capitalistic societies, this love language can be especially tricky. You probably know where I'm going with this. Sellers, companies, advertisers will always tell us that, quote, love equals a purchase. And oh, by the way, a nice purchase. We are inundated with messages on TV and radio and billboards and shirts and so forth and so on that send messages that we need to buy this. If you're successful, you will wear that. Beautiful people have this, and important people drive that. And if you want to be even more successful or more popular, then you will one-up the Joneses that live next to you, and you will buy something that's a little more upscale than what they have. It's hard to get away from that message when we live in a quote-unquote advanced culture that values material things as a sign of success. And we can buy into that even when we don't enjoy what we already have. If you have children of any age, how many of their toys that they got for their birthday or Christmas or some other celebration in the past year, just a year, how much of that are they not using at all? It's sitting there on the shelf, it's sitting in a box, it's sitting in a closet because they have moved on to the next exciting thing. We can easily buy into the idea that gifts are the way to show love and the way to receive love instead of a way that some people really enjoy and appreciate receiving love. So it's especially tricky, this particular gift, because it is so synonymous with a sign that we belong to an advanced part of our culture, or we're on the upper echelons of our society, or we have arrived in some popularity or success. It's very tricky to discern, is this truly the love language of your coworker or your spouse or your friend or even yourself? The key to loving with gifts is understanding the meaning behind what the other person wants. I'll tell you a quick true story, and my wife can verify this. When I returned from one of my deployments in Iraq several years ago, it was close to Valentine's Day. I got there in late December. Valentine's Day is just a little over a month away. And what I wanted to do is spend quality time together. That's like my second love language. And we lived in a place in Tennessee that had rolling hills and beautiful greenery outside and flowers and birds. It was just gorgeous. The weather was nice. And there were these broad, flat bike trails. And you ladies know where I'm going with this. I got my wife a bike because I wanted us to bike together slowly in a romantic fashion, side by side, spending quality time, talking, not exercising, not building up a sweat, not racing, not seeing how fast we could go or burn calories. But you know what she thought? So you think I'm fat. That was the meaning behind the gift for her, entirely different than the meaning for me. And what she had asked me for, and she did give me a specific that she wanted for Valentine's Day. She wanted a belt sander to sand wood. I kid you not. And I thought she was joking. Now, she was working on our bedroom furniture. She was sanding it by hand, and it's kind of a pet project for her that she wanted to do. But I thought she was kidding. After I gave her the bike and she was highly upset, she said, "I told you I wanted a belt sander," because the meaning behind that for her was twofold. One, she wanted to help save the family money because she knew that we had a lot of expenses. She knew that saving money is important to me, and she wanted to do that for the family. And two, she likes beautiful things, and she wanted the furniture in the bedroom to look better, and this is the way that she could do that. So I completely missed the meaning behind the gift. It's not so much how expensive the gifts are or how often we give them, but the gifts are about the meaning behind them. For that reason, adults who lacked healthy giving when they were growing up may react on a spectrum of materialism. You may have noticed in the past several videos, this is a recurring statement that depending on how we were raised, we may react on a spectrum of extremes. And I've covered this in acts of service. I'll cover it later in touch. I'll cover it in words of affirmation. It's true across the board. So depending on how gifts were treated, maybe people in their family of origin just lavished them with gifts. And so now they really expect a lot all the time because that's the way you show love. Or maybe they didn't get anything and now they want you to make up for it. Again, kind of an extreme view. Or maybe the family was terribly frugal, but because the way they were so frugal, they were able to do other things with their money. They might be really, really tight on gifts. Or maybe they were stingy on giving gifts, not because they were trying to save money, but people were just selfish. And so they're really hurt, and they don't want to emphasize gifts because they're afraid that there will be a recurring hurt, that something's not appreciated or something, gifts don't come as often or as frequently as they'd like them to. Different extremes for different reasons, but again, what is the meaning behind that? If one of you or your coworker or your spouse or your friends, highly value gifts and the other doesn't, clarify the meaning of the gifts. In other words, you may need to get to know each other better. You might have worked with that person in your office for years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you know them. And there might be gift exchanges every year that they may appreciate some things, but not appreciate other things. You may have been married for years, and the calendar says this is your 10-year anniversary, and on 10 years, you should give this type of gift. Is that what your spouse wants? Your kids may have been your kids for years, but do you know what they want now as opposed to 5 years ago? Because personalities can change, right? So when giving or receiving even a small gift, state its special meaning to you. My mom has told me this several times. Make sure you catch people doing something good. So if your spouse or your coworker or friend gives you something that you really enjoy, tell them why you enjoy it. Let's say they give you a coffee cup. Now, I like coffee, but I like coffee cups because they're conversation pieces. If it has some print on it or something or other that can begin a conversation about where I have lived or a military unit with which I've been assigned or some event that I've been through, it's a conversation piece. So if someone were to give me a cup like that symbolized a really positive meaning, I could say, thank you so much. My time in this unit has really helped me to grow, and I've made some close friends, and I feel like I've been able to make a difference. At least people have told me I've made a difference. And this cup is going to remind me of those good memories. Also, be sure to maximize your creativity on a regular basis, not your credit cards once in a while. To think of inexpensive ways that we can give gifts to others or that they can give gifts to us, or creative ways to save money for a larger gift later, because gift giving can be expensive. Even if it's just getting your spouse or a friend down the hall where you work, buying them a soda every day, which is not good, by the way. An average soda at a convenience store is about $2. $2 5 times a week is what? $10, right? 50 weeks out of the year, that's $500 just in soda. So gifts can add up, even small gifts. So we have to be creative about when we do it, how we do it, with meaning behind it. And lastly, to seek balance by giving and receiving gifts in your personal life. I've mentioned this in other videos as well. Meaningful gifts really need to happen most in the family and with close friends, because it's about heart issues and intimacy and bringing those relationships even closer to be more solid and more enduring and more enjoyable. If we are hungry for that intimacy because it's not happening in the family or close friends, it could spill over in inappropriate ways into work relationships and less social relationships. Hope that makes sense, and hope to see you next time when we'll look at one more language of love.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research, Development, and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.